In the recent budget, the government announced its big plans for Industry 4.0. A big part of that is the TVET program aimed at producing more skilled labour. We talked to Dr. Muhammad Naim Yaakob, DG of JPPKK, about strategies and changing mindsets. So we're here to talk about TVET, a program aimed at sort of allowing education for everybody, and it allows building of skills for everybody. So the Cabinet, of course, has formed TVET Empowerment Cabinet Committee. It comprises 9 ministries. There's a technical committee as well. And JPPKK's role in all of this is on this committee. So can you elaborate what the role is?
We want to avoid what they call the phenomenon of NEET, N-E-E-T, students who are not in employment, education or training.
Yeah.
So TVET is one way to equip them with a life skill, for them to earn some income, get jobs and so on. And in Malaysia, provision of TVET is not by only Ministry of Education. The others like Ministry of Human Resources, Ministry of Youth and Sports, Ministry of International Trade and Industry, Ministry of Works, and several others. Altogether 9 main players in TVET. Therefore, all these efforts from all fronts need to be coordinated. Otherwise, we will have overlap, we will have gaps.
Yes.
So, in order to make sure that everything will synergize and go to achieving the vision of making TVET for skilled workforce by 2030, and making TVET as a tool to empower the students, so we need to have a coordinating body. And this coordinating body is set up by the Cabinet and it's called the TVET Empowerment Committee. Now the Ministry of Education is given the role to chair this Cabinet Committee. The Minister of Education is the chair of this TVET Empowerment Committee. Under that steering committee or ministerial level committee, there is another technical committee headed by someone from the industry, Tan Sri So Tian Lai, Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers.
Yes.
And the Jabatan Pendidikan Polytechnic College Community, JPPKK, has a role as a, like what we say, put things together. We call for people to come for town halls, we arrange meetings, we write up a report to the Cabinet. So we gel together all these elements. Recently, the budget for 2020, 5.9 billion ringgit Malaysia has been allocated just for TVET. But this goes to the 9 ministries. So how do you really leverage on that vast amount of money? If you don't get it right, then it's not going to be very efficient.
I think the important thing to concentrate on is actually public perception of a program like TVET. What is actually going to happen about changing public perception that is sometimes so entrenched about a program like TVET?
In terms of the reward for the TVET graduates, this is something that we need to work on. If, for example, a diploma polytechnic graduate, after 3 years, if they earn just a little bit more than an SPM leaver, this is not going to be something good. So why you spend 3 years to get a salary of about just a bit over what the SPM leaver gets? So this is something we need industry commitment, and in terms of giving due recognition to the amount of time, amount of skills they have acquired. That's one, in terms of the remuneration. The second is about having the third party people, the alumni, the industry, talk the good about TVET. Us as government just telling we have that program, we have this number of students, it's like us telling that we are good. But if we have industry people, so now we are planning to have what we say TVET influencer. We're going to get people from industry, those who believe and those who have good experience, with TVET graduate. They can be the one who try to elevate the image of TVET by talking about industry has benefited from TVET graduate in terms that they are productive, they are skillful. But of course, they can give feedback to us what areas needs improvement.
So what kind of investment and collaboration with the industry, a little bit more can you tell us about that, especially that you want this aim of TVET institutions to produce at least 35% of the skilled labour workforce in 2020?
First, I think investment in time, in terms of collaboration, discussion between the TVET providers and the industry. It is happening, but it's not happening as much as it should. We don't really understand industry as much as industry do not really understand TVET providers. They expect, for example, day one, you are already ready to work for their particular company.
Right.
But actually, the whole spectrum of processes, technologies and companies are different. If you talk about fourth industrial revolution, some are ready, but mostly are maybe at the IR 2.0 automation. So for TVET institution to provide skills for the fourth IR, where else the industry is mostly perhaps still not ready. So you don't jump the gun. So by investing in more time talking and understanding, engaging them, having more discussion, we will understand.
A lot more buy-in.
What we do is we train and then we place. In Germany, for example, what they do is they place and they train, the other way around. That means more apprenticeship, on-the-job training. From the beginning, they're already in the workplace. They look at the equipment, the machinery, they understand the processes, the safety procedures, and then they go back to the institution, back and forth, weekly or bi-weekly. So in their mind is ingrained, they can already imagine what's out there. So if you just spend a lot of time in the institution, on the campus or in the campus, and only in the last semester you go, then suddenly it's just, maybe you're not ready. So when in the beginning you go to the industry, the punctuality, the working in teams, the discipline that you need to do. So we want to move away from what we say train and place to place and train.